Welcome, everybody. We're here to see the workshop for Narmada Rao, who is also in India, in Bangalore, presenting living confidently outside your comfort zone. When we did this, the interviews or the discussions to see how we were going to do these workshops, this was a very, very inspiring topic for us that Narmada presented. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Narmada. Thank you very much. Narmada, please take it over and introduce your topic for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kash. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I hope I've covered the greetings, considering that we're from 3 different continents at this point, yeah? Or good day, that would probably be it. Right? All right, great. So I'm Narmada. I'm a psychologist and NLP trainer from India. I've trained under Sue Knight. And I have to give you a little bit of background about me so that you feel confident being with me over the next 1 hour, isn't it? Because this is probably also outside our comfort zone to hand us over into the hands of someone whom we don't know yet. So I'm Narmada, and Arul, who's here, he's my business partner. We have an organization called Master Yourself Academy. We've trained more than 10,000 people from across 26 countries. And I've authored 4 books, and I've appeared in television and in international radio as well. And that's just a little bit about myself. We'll get started. And our topic for today is living confidently outside your comfort zone. So how many of you are feeling comfortable at this point? All right, great. Anyone's feeling very uncomfortable at this point? It helps, you know, real-time situations. It really helps us to work along with it. Yeah. All right. So I have a presentation. I'll just share that. Give me a moment. Can you all see my screen? Yeah. All right. So that's about my books. That's a little bit about me, which we've talked about. So before we get started, what, according to you, is comfort? If I could just have a few shout outs. Or if you would like to type, that's fine too. What's comfort for you?
Feeling at ease.
Feeling at ease. And what's discomfort?
Not knowing what you're doing.
Not knowing what you're doing, okay. A few more definitions if we could have of what's discomfort for you. Like an old pair of shoes, discomfort, okay. Safety, discomfort. What else? What is discomfort?
When you're not necessarily in alignment with the current situation. So it can be in both ways. It can be discomfort because it's something new, so it's the unfamiliarity of it all, or it can be discomfort because it's no longer giving you the benefit.
No longer giving you the benefit, all right. So typically, what is your first response to discomfort in life? It's unique for each individual, so more the answers, the better for us. What usually is your response for discomfort?
Stand back. Step back. Away. Yeah.
Away, all right.
Breathe. Try and breathe through it.
Sorry?
Try and breathe through it, because I notice my heart beating when I'm in discomfort. I notice my heart beats quite fast, so I try and breathe through it.
That's nice, wonderful. Stop and think why we're feeling discomfort. What else? What else is your usual response? Unless we know what does discomfort do to us, we may not exactly land upon what we need to do differently later. So as much as we can think about in terms of what do we usually do? What's our typical response to discomfort? Think of a recent time when you felt uncomfortable and what was your response to it?
I get irritable.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, go on, Leah.
No, go on, you go, Paul.
I was going to say, I find myself either getting irritable or just want to go to sleep.
Okay, all right.
And I was going to say it makes me angry.
Makes me angry, yes. Something unfamiliar, uncharted territories, yes. Natural responses, fear, anxiety, angry, all of that, yeah. And so when we do all of this, we're trying to, in a sense, we're seeking comfort, right? When we either try to avoid it, when we try to breathe through it, when we try to sleep over it, when we try to get to comfort foods, in essence, we're trying to seek comfort, correct?
Yeah.
End of the day, that's our thing that we want. We want to feel comfortable at the end of the day. And because, why do we want comfort? Because usually the coding in our human brain is comfort means happiness, discomfort means unhappiness. Yes, does it make sense?
Yeah.
Comfort is happiness, discomfort is unhappiness. Now, so long as our coding is going to be this way, we are constantly going to avoid feeling uncomfortable and try to seek comfort. Not that there's something wrong with comfort, but seeking too much of comfort too often in life can actually get us to deprive ourselves of growth, our ability to push our boundaries, our ability to learn, and our willpower to go the extra mile. And also, the most important thing, when we seek comfort, that's the primary reason why we get into addictions. Have you noticed? Addictions are what? It's all about comfort, isn't it? That's why they call it comfort food. Now, here is an interesting thing that I heard recently in some video that I was watching in a flight. He said, usually when you're trying to code comfort food, you're trying to say that if I eat that piece of chocolate, it makes me feel good, so I'm going to eat it. Yeah, does that make sense? Does that resonate? Yeah. Now, have you noticed most often in life, you are going to feel that sense of comfort even before you've gotten yourself to that chocolate cake? Yes or no? So it's not the food that's giving you the comfort. It's you who's feeling comfortable thinking of the food, right? And when we keep thinking of that, that's how addictions are formed. And that's how people refuse to let go of their habits, because they think those habits are giving them comfort equals to happiness, which is all a false assumption. Now we have to demystify that in our head, saying the chocolate cake did not give me happiness at all. I felt happy even before I could get a bite of it in my mouth, which means I have coded it that way. So that's my first demystifying thing, saying, oh, actually, it's not true that anything of that sort is giving me comfort. I'm seeking it and I'm trying to trick my brain to feel comfortable by doing this or that. Yes? So for addictions, when we're working with addictions, we have to remember addictions are a result of seeking comfort. We never thought of it this way, did we? And this changes a lot of things for us, that addictions are a part of seeking comfort, an extent of seeking comfort to the next level. I'm going to keep moving the screen on and off so I can see all of you as well. So here's something for us to consider. So the yellow zone that you see there is the comfort zone. The green is the learning zone or the discomfort. And the red that you see is the panic zone. So comfort zone is where we're used to doing things that we know, we're familiar. It's those things that we do on a daily basis. There's no surprises. You know, things go on that cruise mode, right? There are no surprises anywhere. I know what I'm doing. I see what I'm doing. I feel fairly certain about what's going to happen and what I need to do next, right? Now, here's where no learning ever happens. Have you ever learned anything being comfortable?
No.
Right? So hence, we're now going to, if all of you know this familiar term, how many of you are from NLP background, by the way? Just so I know if I have to, let me just. Yeah, so all of you are familiar with reframing? Yes, yeah. So which means the first thing for us is we have to reframe discomfort as learning. So long as we call it discomfort, we're going to shy away from it. We're going to look to comfort. And we're going to now call comfort, too much of comfort, as an addiction. None of us like addictions, do we? We all would like to think of ourselves as fairly sorted. Me, addiction? No way. So towards that. So we're going to use terminologies that are going to help us refrain from seeking something that we've been seeking all our lives, which hasn't been helping us, which has also been impeding our growth. Yeah, makes sense so far with me? So this is now something for us to focus on, is how do we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone and get ourselves towards the learning zone, realizing that we have never, ever learned anything in life being comfortable. Which means we have to challenge ourselves regularly. Yes? Now, the only thing is, if we don't know when to stop, we're going to move ourselves into the panic zone, which means what? We're going to have feelings like anxiety, stress, sleeplessness, and all those extra things because we've moved on to the panic zone, which is not a great place to be because it affects our health. It affects our ability to think straight. Learning zone is where you feel an appropriate amount of challenge. You feel that discomfort, but you still feel like, yes, at least it's offering me a learning. So we're going to reframe discomfort to learning zone. So comfort zone, learning zone, panic zone. These are the three zones. Our endeavor is to stick as much as we can in the learning zone throughout our lives, not just for moments, but throughout our lives, because it also helps us improve our neuroplasticity when we're constantly learning new things. And it helps us reduce that feeling of threat that we feel every time we're in a discomfort in life, which is good news, isn't it? If you constantly put yourself in that learning zone, your brain is not going to see it as a perceived threat anymore, which is great for us. So it reduces some of our resistance, it reduces our threat response, it reduces a lot of things. So now the next bit, what does confidence mean to you?
Self-assurance.
I'm sorry?
Self-assurance.
Okay. Say more about it.
Well, a little bit like Debbie's just typed there, actually, that you know that you can do something, that you're just comfortable with it.
Faith in your capabilities, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What else? Inner strength that I can do this. What else? What else does confidence mean to you?
Being yourself.
Sorry?
Being yourself, so not worried about what other people are thinking of you, being true to yourself.
Perfect. Being true to ourselves, not worried about what others are thinking. So whether you're giving me the response right now or not, I'd love for you to note it down for yourself, because oftentimes we're pursuing things that we're not very clear in our heads about. I want to feel confident. Now I don't quite know what does confident look like, feel like, or sound like. So now I'm on a wild goose chase. It's like searching for a black cat in a dark room, which is not there. So I will never know whether I'm confident or not, will I? So the first step towards feeling confident is knowing what does confidence mean to you in particular, because it means different things to different people, right? So what does confidence mean to you? Now, what stops us from being confident? Knowing that that's what confidence meant to each of us. What stops us from being confident? One is a fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not knowing states, because humans have an intense need for certainty in their lives. And another thing that prevents us from being confident is we oftentimes don't imagine in our favor. Have you noticed?
Mm.
You know, we're looking for something and we're like, yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm going to find it. I want to give them a proposal, but there could be so many more players in the market. Why would they consider me, right? So even before we actually get the result of something, are you with me or is my network stuck? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't imagine in our favor. You know, when I first heard the sentence, if you're anyways imagining, imagine in your favor, I thought, duh, of course, imagine in your favor. That's what I typically do. And then I observed myself for an entire 24 hours. And I was surprised to know how many times I actually don't imagine in my favor. Like I was waiting for a cab and I said, this cab guy is going to charge me a bomb. And indeed he did. Simple things like that. It doesn't even have to be those big things. We usually think of imagine in your favor big things. It's those small things. It's like, for example, you'd expect your husband to get you a gift on your birthday, but you'll hold yourself back. My husband and gift, I wish he even thinks about it. I'm sure he wouldn't. Now, of course, your husband wouldn't want to disappoint you by letting you down on the expectations you have, would he? So he will live up to it. And then you say, see, I told you so. So we don't imagine in our favor, which often pulls down our confidence the most. And this is very much self-maintained. This is something that we can do for ourselves, but we don't. And it pulls down our confidence on a regular basis. And then the last thing is, we have a belief that confidence comes from certainty. How many of you can identify with that? You know, we usually think if I'm certain about things, I'm obviously going to be more confident. Now, flash news. Have you noticed that there are so many people who know so much about so many things and they're not confident? Imagine you don't know so many languages in the world. Yeah, there are so many languages and you don't know any of them. But if you don't know English, a lot of people think I'm not confident because my English is not good. Have you heard of people who say that? Now, how does language attribute to confidence? If you go to a very remote rural place where English is not very familiar, they speak a local dialect. I don't know if you've ever noticed, when they have foreigners come there, when they have tourists come there, you find these people from those small rural places trying to establish communication in their own way without knowing the language. This man speaks Spanish, that man speaks French, and they both are trying to have a conversation extremely confidently. Have you observed that? Mm. So which means the knowledge of language or the lack of it is not making a difference to the confidence there. Yes? So this is one big myth that we have been reiterating for ourselves, that knowledge leads to confidence or weight loss leads to confidence. A lot of people think if I become thinner, I'm going to be so much more confident. I can wear the kind of clothes that I want. But they become thinner and they're still not confident. Why? Because none of these actually add to the confidence at the end of the day. Yeah? Let's see how. So let's explore your idea of confidence a bit more. Who comes to your mind when we say the word confident? If you can type in your answers, who comes to your mind when we say the word confidence? If you want to say it out, that's fine too. No one's coming to your mind? Really? That's odd. Michelle Obama. Okay, great. Thank you. Who else?
Beyonce.
Beyonce, of course. Brené Brown. I hope I pronounce it right. Yes. Who else? It's a very important question, and I'll tell you why later, but you have to answer the question first. Who comes to your mind when we say the word confident? Boris Johnson, overconfident, okay? Well, leaders, all right. Who else? Leaders, business, political leaders, okay? So what do you see in them that denotes confidence to you? What exactly do you see in each of that persons you've named above that you call confidence?
They believe in themselves above all else.
They believe in themselves, they have a sense of authority. What else? The way they carry themselves. What about the way they carry themselves? What specifically?
Well, when they come into a room or when you see them, they're looking like they know what they're going to say and what they want to say and how they're going to say it.
Right, perfect. So the way they look, so the way they smile, maintain eye contact. What else? So now you see our definition of confidence is getting much better here. Do you see that? When we first asked what's confidence, we were on slightly uncharted territories. Now we're getting even more clearer about what does confidence mean to us. Now, when you see these people that, they maintain eye contact, they smile, they know what they're talking about and all of this, why do you think that is? What is it that makes them be that? Self-belief, okay. They believe in themselves. Yeah.
Because they know they're creating a sort of persona that's attracting other people to be drawn to them. So in that sense, it's that sort of building that rapport, but we know that we can actually engage with people if we come across with those stances. So it's the unconditional thinking.
Perfect. Yes. So they feel at home, they feel at ease. And when we're with them, we too feel at home and at ease as well, right? Yes. You've noticed that effect, that usually when you're with someone who's very confident, you start to feel at ease with yourself too. Unless they're doing something slightly different, then we tend to feel a little intimidated by them. But otherwise, confident people have a way of helping others feel confident around them too. Yeah. So what is it that you want to be confident about? Think of a scenario where you currently feel, I may not be very confident in this particular scenario, and I'd love to be. If you want, you can share. Otherwise, just think of a scenario where you would want to be confident. You would want to be confident even more than what you are. And then This is what is confidence. Confidence is to have faith in oneself, like somebody just said. And how do you become that? How do you be a person who has faith in oneself? So if you're willing to learn from any situation, if you're not daunted by failures or feedbacks, you will naturally be confident. Yes or no? So confidence does not mean faith in my ability or skill. Confidence means my ability, my faith in my ability to learn from any situation. I may not be the best at it, but I always tell myself, even if I'm not good at it, I can always learn from it. So confidence, that's why, is not a subset of your skills and abilities and your knowledge per se, but it is your confidence in your ability to learn from any situation and not get daunted by feedback that comes from anyone. Does that make sense? Does that resonate? Yeah. Because otherwise, if we have a wrong notion of confidence, we will be constantly chasing something that may not be coming to us, right? But this is it. I don't have to know anything. I could be in an absolutely strange land with new people, new situations, everything. But the only thing that I believe is I can learn in any situation. I'm a quick learner. I think I can really learn to thrive in any situation. If I have that, will I be confident? Yes. So that's the first thing for us, right? So am I confident about my ability to learn? That's all. Now, here's a quick strategy. Now, we thought about people who we think are confident, and here's a quick strategy I call the WWTD. You can call it anything you want. Basically, it is, what would my role model do in this situation? Or what would they do in this situation? So briefly visit a discomfort zone that you felt was challenging in recent times, or something that you're about to face. Think about, just take a moment if you want to close your eyes, leave it open, you want to write about it. A zone where you feel a sense of discomfort, where you feel it is currently challenging. And think about, what are you experiencing? As you're thinking of that discomfort, what are you experiencing there? Yeah. And now a quick break state. What are you planning to do this Christmas? What plans do you have for Christmas? Think about your holiday plans. Briefly, don't go too far on that. When we come back, yes. And now think of that person whom you thought is very confident. It could be a leader, a family, a parent, anybody. Think of that person and see, what would that person do if they were in this challenging situation that you find yourself in? Think, what would your role model do if they were in this situation? Step into their shoes, act like them, think like them, sit like them, make your body language like them. Keep your eyes like them. Become this role model that you have in mind. And ask yourself, what would this role model do in this challenging situation? See it, hear it, feel it. And as you're processing that, ask yourself, what is that key ingredient for you that will make the difference? What is the difference that will make the difference for you? If you have the answer, please do share. It might inspire somebody else. A smile, beautiful, okay? A smile would make the difference. Empowering self-talk, super. Eye contact, humor, lovely. Take responsibility and move forward. Change my thoughts about it, laugh, super. Enthusiasm, relax, slow down. Fabulous. Being at ease with ambiguity. Wonderful. And are you ready to do this? That's the most important one. I know it, but I still choose to put a pumpkin face when I'm in that situation. Now, it's not going to help, is it? Knowing is one thing, but being ready to do what it takes is the most important thing. Like if I see Paul right now, he's already smiling. So I'm sure he's not in discomfort anyway right now, but that's what it takes, right? That's what we say it takes. And that's, are you ready to do what it takes? Change the attitudes. Yeah. So are you ready to do what it takes? Knowing that this is what it takes, are you ready to do what it takes? Yes, it's like going to a doctor saying, this is my issue, and the doctor gives you the medicines, and you get the medicines, and you keep it on your table, and you keep looking at it saying, come on, cure me. That ain't going to happen. Yes, if I have to be cured, I have to pop in those pills, only then I will be cured. Yes, otherwise, the doctor will say, please don't come back to me the next time because you haven't taken the medicines from the last time. Right. So are you ready to do what it takes to take your life to the next level? So there's some simple tips that'll help us access confidence at will. The most important thing is be clear on what you want. So the most powerful question, I will tell you the most powerful question that you can ever ask yourself. Shall I tell you? I have to see some energy. You know, the biggest missing ingredient in life is energy. We pursue life like a baggage, and then we don't get too far with it because we're weighed down by baggage. So are you ready to know the most important, most powerful question? Yeah, right. So the most powerful question is, what do I want? We are so busy thinking of what we don't want that we don't spend enough time actually asking ourselves, what do I want? So there was this one time we went to a religious place in India, and I was 10 years old. And imagine the city is like the Vatican City in terms of crowd. It is the most crowded place. And I was 10 and I got lost. So, and my parents didn't realize I was lost because they thought I was with my cousins. My cousins thought I was with my parents, and everybody assumed I was with somebody until I realized that I'm lost and there's nobody with me. So I was 10, but I just realized, usually what do people do when they get lost? So now my agenda is I have to find my parents. Who's going to help me do that? So I went to a nearby security person and I said, hey, I can't seem to be able to find my parents. I think they've gone missing somewhere. I didn't say I was missing. I said, my parents seem to be missing. Can you help me find them? Now he was very amused. I was just 10. And he said, oh, but he was also a little alarmed. He said, please come. So I used to keep hearing announcements happen very frequently in that city that, you know, so-and-so is missing and he's at this counter, please come and collect your son or daughter or whatever that was. So I recall that there is some system like this that happens. Now a security person should know ideally. So let me go and check. I didn't cry, nothing. I just went and said, my parents are missing. Can you please help me find them? So he said, sure. And then he took me to the place where they make the announcements. And because I was a kid, they gave me a soft drink and they said, please sit down. Would you like to eat something? I said, no, I'm good. So I was sipping on the soft drink and I was sitting and they made all the announcements. And within about 10 minutes, my parents come running and they're like, are you okay? Yeah, absolutely fine. And I was all smiles, you know, no crying, no panic, nothing. And, you know, the story really kind of became a laughter point for everyone because we were laughing because I actually told them my parents were missing rather than it being the other way around. So it was fun. And so moral of the story is we have to know what we want at any given point in time. When faced with uncertain times, the mistake that we usually tend to make is we're constantly thinking of what might happen. Yes or no? We're thinking of what might happen. Instead, you have to think of what do you want to have happen? What is the difference there? When you think of what might happen, anything might happen, and I might definitely lose my confidence thinking of, oh my God, what if I never find my parents? I'm going to be here. How will I fend for myself? Will I have to beg for food? Now I'm going to entertain all that. I'm obviously going to be broken. But if I think of what do I want to have happen, I'm asking myself a question in the towards state, which will help me actually find ways to get myself there. So the key to being confident in uncharted territories or in unfamiliar grounds is to ask yourself, what do you want and what do you want to have happen in that moment? So that you will find your actions towards in that direction. Yes? And now the most important thing, you have to set intentions every day. What happens is, if you're not intentional in your life will be a series of accidents. How many of you set intentions every morning when you wake up? Or you wake up and get started? Like, come on, I woke up. Come on, let's just get started. There's no time. My kids are late for school. Let's just get going. Yeah. We're too fast forward. We're living life in a fast forward mode to stop and actually set intentions. Now, what happens? Imagine I'm meeting a friend. Okay. I'm taking a ground basic example. I'm meeting a friend and I have not set an intention. And my friend lands up 15 to 30 minutes late. Now I get angry at my friend saying, I saw somebody do this. So I know, okay, time was a criteria there. So how can somebody be so late? And now as my friend comes, because I had absolutely no intention set in my mind, I'm going to get life's incidents, take charge of my mood for the better or for worse. And I'm going to say, how can you be so late? Now, instead of having a good time with my friend, I'm going to be upset. And I'm going to do drama triangles with my friend for coming late. That's a perfect day ruined. Now, consider this. I set an intention saying, I'm meeting this friend after a very long time. I want to have a good time with them and I want to be kind when I'm with people. So my friend comes late, but I remind myself that my intention is to be kind. So if somebody is late, I'm not going to say, wow, you're late, so happy. But I'm going to say, hey, you got late. What happened? All okay with you? Because my intention was to be kind. So I let kindness determine the course of my next action rather than the person's behavior determine my next course of action. Does that make difference? If I let cab drivers or anybody else or my friends or my family determine what I'm going to do with my life, I'm only going to be playing all sorts of channels. The TV is mine, but the remote is never in my hands. How will I be confident when the remote to my television is with everybody else? If I'm going to let other people's bad day ruin my day, that means I'm not intentional about myself, right? I'm just a bundle of reactions. Hence, it's very important to set intentions every single day for every single thing that you do. Now, please note, this is not something that takes hours. It takes few seconds to establish what's my intention for this. Like, for example, before you sleep at night, I have usually been someone who wakes up late and sleeps late, but over the last few days, few weeks, I have been doing this thing of waking up by 4 a.m. in the morning without an alarm. And it's drastic for me. So what did I do? Every night when I sleep, I set an intention that I have to be up before sunrise. I want to catch the sunrise is my intention. So somehow or the other, the universe makes it possible. If at all I miss waking up on my own, somebody or the other lands up sending me a message at that time of the morning. Usually nobody does. But for the last 3 days, if I've ever missed, unusually somebody or the other has been messaging me at that time and I wake up. And I'm so grateful saying, oh, thank God I did not miss the sunrise today. Your intentions are the most powerful thing in your life. And this is the one that we don't spend time on at all. With your kids, what's your intention? I want to be a kind parent or I want to be a disciplinarian. They determine your actions. They determine how you're going to speak to the person, right? So please, please, please set intentions before you start your day, before you end your day, and as you go through your day as well. Yeah? Does that help? Right. And if you are, so one of the fears is, oh my God, I don't want to make a mistake. So you have to be ready to make mistakes. You have to be ready to make a fool out of yourself. We take ourselves way too seriously. You know, my mom told me, she said, Narmada, please don't take yourself so seriously. Nobody takes you so seriously anyway. And I was upset. But that's true. Nobody takes me so seriously. Have you ever noticed people barely have the time to sit and think of God? Where will they sit and spend time thinking of you and me? We're all pretty much self-obsessed. We have no time to think of anyone beyond a point. Even if I'm thinking of someone, I'm thinking of what they did to me. So I'm actually thinking of me, not them. She hurt me. Now I'm thinking of her? No, I'm thinking of myself. I'm thinking of how she hurt me. So I'm self-obsessed. I actually don't have the time to think of others. So I have to stop fooling myself to think that people are going to think of my mistakes and laugh at me, because nobody thinks so much about anybody. We are the only ones who think so much about ourselves. So it's important for us to note that If I make a mistake, that's absolutely okay. I'm okay to make mistakes. I'm okay to be not okay. I'm ready to apologize and I'm ready to make amends. What happens is we make a mistake and we disappear in guilt. I feel so ashamed. I can't face them anymore. That's a sin. Make a mistake, but stand up, own it, take responsibility for it, and be ready to do what it takes to make amends for it. That's how you're going to find your confidence. Yes, always tell yourself, I'm ready to make mistakes. I'm ready to make a fool of myself, which means what? The first things first, you have to start laughing. Just like that. Can you do it? Yeah, not have very serious faces through the day. Because the more you're able to smile, the more you're able to relax yourself. Yeah. So if you're relaxed, you're naturally going to be confident. Yes. So be ready to admit, apologize, and make amends every time you make a mistake. And the most important thing, usually they think confident people are certain. Yes or no? No. People who are very confident are people who are very flexible. People who are very certain have a lot of fears and apprehensions because they feel I'm too certain of things. I don't want to be proved wrong. People who are flexible, wow, that's a new perspective. I'd love to learn that. Flexibility leads to confidence, not certainty. Ta-da, that's the important one. Was that an interesting point to note? Show it on your faces, please. Yeah, it's important to show it on our faces. Yeah, exactly. So you have to now focus on increasing your flexibility as the days go, because flexibility leads to confidence, not certainty. Certainty at best leads to arrogance. Yeah, you don't want to be that. You want to be confident. So if you want to be confident, entertain flexibility going forward, which means you have to set yourself flexibility challenges on a daily basis. Otherwise, your mind loses its neuroplasticity. Right? With me so far? Right. Now, a few techniques in NLP that will help you feel confident at will is using the as if frame. For example, I'm in a new situation. I'm in front of all these people and I have no clue. There is no expressions. There's nothing happening. I don't know what to make out of it. I'm not talking about all of you. I'm just saying, okay? Right. So now in that situation, I'm going to imagine as if they're having fun. Now, I don't know for a fact, but I'm going to imagine as if they're having a great time. Now, as if is a very, very powerful frame that you can use for yourself. But funnily, we use as if frame in negative connotations. We imagine as if people don't love us. What a nice recipe to not feel confident. So when you're using the as if frame, remember that you have to use it with a positive outcome in mind. Can you imagine as if you're confident? Can you imagine as if you're ready to dance in front of all of these people? Can you imagine as if you're ready to do whatever it takes? Yes? So as if frame, that's a very, very powerful use, which is going to help you a lot. Reframing. Like I said, we've usually called discomfort as pain. Comfort as happiness, discomfort as pain, discomfort as unhappiness, correct? Now is the time for us to reframe it, which means it is discomfort, which means it is learning. It is not pain and it is not unhappy. It is just learning. It's a learning opportunity. So can you reframe every new situation in your life that makes you feel less certain? When you're talking to yourself, remind yourself that that's a learning zone for you. All of us are good learners, right? We're all excellent learners. Now, when we code something as not a learning, but a discomfort, that's when we lose our confidence. But if you code everything as a learning, if you reframe every situation as a learning situation, you're going to turn out fabulous in any situation that you face. Make sense? Right. And anchoring. So should we try a quick, what time is it? How much time do we have left? 7:40. Should we try a quick round of anchoring if all of you are game for it? Yeah? All right, great. If you want to stand, you can stand, or you could just sit, doesn't matter. For those, all of you are familiar with anchoring, or should I brief you a little bit on how it works?
Yeah.
Just, if anyone wants a quick brief, please let me know. I can do that. Familiar, perfect. Unfamiliar. Okay. So I'll just give a quick brief. So anchoring is a technique where you help yourself access a positive, resourceful state at will, whenever you want it. So I want you to think of a time when you felt confident. Okay. A recent time when you felt confident. Keep your eyes open. Just think of a recent time where you felt confident, or any time in your life when you felt confident. Okay. Give me a thumbs up when you have that situation ready in mind. All right. Now, what you're going to do is, along with my instructions, please also decide an anchor. Anchor is, it could be something like, you know, I hold my hand like this, or I press like this, or I do this. Any kind of a physical touch that I would like to have when I'm using my anchor. So this will be your anchor. Don't do anything right now. Just decide what is your anchor. And when I tell you, then you're going to use the anchor, right? Please make sure it has nothing to do with your rings or any accessories, because those are not self-maintained. It's better if it is just a simple touch. And please make sure it's not something too complicated, like holding your nose like this, because then imagine yourself standing in front of 10,000 people and you decided to do this for anchoring. Tricky, isn't it? So choose something that's very simple and subtle and easy for you to do anytime. Yeah. All of you ready with your anchors as well? Now release your hands. Don't hold your anchors until I give you the instructions. Release your anchors and just go with the instructions. Ready? All right. So whenever you're ready, gently close your eyes. And think of this time when you're feeling confident. See what you're seeing. Hear what you're hearing. Feel what you're feeling. And as you're seeing, hearing, and feeling this confidence, increase the intensity of this feeling of confidence like you would increase the volume in TV. Increase this feeling of confidence. And as this feeling is increasing, use your anchor. And as the feeling is increasing and increasing and reaching its peak, release your anchor. Whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. We're going to do it one more time just to establish the anchor again. Yeah, we'll just repeat the process again. So whenever you're ready, gently close your eyes and revisit this time when you were feeling very confident. And as you're seeing, hearing, and feeling, increase the intensity of this beautiful feeling of confidence. And as the intensity is increasing, use your anchor. And as the feeling is increasing and it's about to reach its peak, release your anchor. Take a deep breath. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. Now just shake it up. Shake, 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 shake. Loosen up a bit. Loosen up, loosen up, loosen up. It's important to loosen up. Otherwise, we store all our nonsense in our muscles. That's why we'll land up developing pains over a period of time. So loosen up a bit. Okay, now simply, randomly, just use your anchor and see what happens. You don't have to close your eyes. Simply use your anchor and see what happens. Do you have the same feeling again? Yeah? Anchor's working? Yay! Clap for yourself. Yay, yay, yay. Cool. So this is a very, very powerful technique. So whenever you want to access confidence, you just have to use your anchor and you're going to have the same feeling come over again. And it's a very simple process to repeat for yourself as well. Anytime you want to, just think of a happy moment or a confident moment or whatever positive emotion, increase the intensity, anchor yourself, release it as it reaches its peak and test it. And voila, you have it. Yeah. Sounds good? So this is a very, very powerful technique that you could use. And modeling, like I said, is another technique, which means what? What would my role model do in this situation? Modeling is the core of NLP, right? NLP is a result of modeling excellence from others. So we have to remember that when I'm feeling unresourceful, I have to ask myself, like, for example, if my father is my inspiration, I'd ask myself, what would my dad do in this situation? I think the first thing, he'll have that charming smile of his. Now, the minute I think of his charming smile, I'm naturally going to have that smile too, right? So remind yourself of what would your model of excellence do in any given situation that you're feeling uncertain, and that will help you access your states of confidence again, because you're moving from the not knowing states to a sense of knowing what you might want to do. Yeah, so that's that. So these are 4 very powerful techniques in NLP that will help you. And finally, comfort comes from a strong sense of likes and dislikes. Have you noticed? Like, for example, I like sitting by the window seat in a plane. Yeah. So now I don't get a window seat and I get an aisle. So now what do I tell myself? Because I did not get my window seat, I'm going to be uncomfortable through the next 8 hours of my flight. Wow, I've chosen myself to be in misery so well. So our likes and dislikes are the primary reasons why we actually lose our confidence, why we actually feel uncomfortable, because we have very strong preferences. We want things to be in a certain way. When they're not, we get jittery, right? So it is important for us to remind ourselves that that's just an idea of what I think I like, but I'm open to experiences the way they come, right? So can you reduce the intensity of your likes and dislikes? I can't ask you to not like and dislike things. You will, right? So when you will, at least reduce the intensity of things that you like and dislike so that it reduces your chances of finding yourself in uncomfortable situations more often. Yes? And remind yourself that it's not difficult. It's just new. We usually tend to tell ourselves that it's difficult. It's difficult. How do you know it's difficult even before you've been there? Because it's new. It's new, it's not difficult. So you have to remind yourself every time you tell yourself that something is difficult, you have to tell yourself it is new, it's not difficult, and it's not uncomfortable. It's an opportunity for me to learn. When you tell yourself it's an opportunity for me to learn, you're going to be excited about it, right? When we lack excitement and enthusiasm, we're more likely to be filled with grief and despair. So you have to fill your lives with a lot more of excitement towards your learning opportunities so that you naturally, anyone who's very excited about life and very enthusiastic about it will naturally find their confidence very quickly. Why? Because they don't need to know about the situation. They're just very happy being in that place of learning that, I would want to try anything that happens. Yeah. So remind yourself that it's not uncomfortable. It's an opportunity to learn. Some final things, make sure you're not forcing yourself in life. There's a difference between forcing and pushing. When you push yourself to do things, you're pushing yourself willingly and it helps you. When you're forcing yourself to do things, you actually land up developing an aversion for the very same things that you wanted to do up until this point. So ask yourself, are you forcing yourself or are you pushing yourself? Like, for example, if I force myself to give up sweets, I'm going to be a very bitter person, not because I stopped eating sweets, but because I forced myself to stop eating sweets. But if I push myself saying, hey, can you go for 2 days or 3 days without sweets? Yeah, sure, why not? 1 day at a time. We tend to live like as if life is going to last forever. We forget that life is short. So remind yourself to push yourself rather than force yourself. So look for inspiration and motivation around you because there's so much of it all around us. It's just that we don't look in the right places oftentimes, right? We are so caught up in our likes and dislikes that we don't look for inspirations. So get off the likes and dislikes and get into being inspired and motivated. And remember when you were learning to walk, were you daunted by the fact that you were falling down and did you stop walking anytime? Have you seen babies? When they fall down, they rise up again and they go at it. And now you say, but those are kids. No, you were that too. Nothing of that has changed. You just have to Go back to being who you originally were, where you're going to rise up every time you fall because you're excited about the prospect that you're going to walk. So have a purpose in mind clear, have your vision very clear, because when I don't have a purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm naturally bound to feel a lot of unresourceful states. So the key is to have a vision and a purpose as to why am I doing what I'm doing. And that's going to make me naturally feel confident because I'm guided. I'm not misguided. I'm guided by my vision rather than misguided by my fears. Imagine a mother says, I'm afraid of snakes, okay? And when she sees a snake, she freezes. Now imagine the mother has a child there and there's a snake. Do you think the mother will freeze? She won't, because here her purpose is much stronger than the fear. So courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is your ability to look beyond your fears, which means if your purpose is greater, then fears will not stop you. But if your purpose is weak, that's when fears will take over and my confidence gets removed, right? So if I want to be confident, I have to have a purpose, a very strong sense of purpose and a conviction as to why do I want to do that, including waking up early. My strong conviction is I want to say good morning to the sun every morning. And I treat it as my friend, and it's very important to me. And that's strong enough. Purpose doesn't have to be larger than life. Purpose doesn't have to be, I have to feed 100,000 people right now. They're very small things, but they make a big difference. So set your intentions, get your visions, get your purpose, as small as it may be, but get them, because that's what's going to help you drive yourself. Yeah. And it's very important that you choose discomfort voluntarily on an everyday basis. Why? Because when you don't do that, life's going to throw you in it anyway. And then you're going to say, oh no, life's not being fair to me. If you throw yourself into discomfort on a daily basis, you're like, bring it on. I've been doing it and I'd love to do this too. You're actually improving your neuroplasticity by voluntarily moving yourself to uncomfortable territories on a daily basis. It keeps a lot of diseases at bay when you're constantly moving yourself to discomfort and wading through those waters. It reduces your need for sugar and other kinds of addictions too, because you're actually feeling very fulfilled with the fact that you've actually challenged yourself today. What is life without a challenge? Yes or no? So challenge yourself appropriately every single day, because that's what's going to give you that rush, that sense of purpose, that great sense of happiness and an accomplishment as well, right? So greatness is not in admitting our limits. We can't admit our limits and say, see, I know my limits. All of us are very good at defining ourselves. Don't define yourself anymore. The only time you will be defined is when you're dead. Until that point, keep discovering yourselves. Yeah, life is not to be defined. Life is to be discovered. So keep discovering yourself. Don't admit your limits. Challenge your limits. If you can challenge your limits on a daily basis, you're naturally going to be very, very excited about living your life on a daily basis. Yeah. I keep talking about death and my mom says, why do you do that? I said, if I don't remind myself that I'm going to die, I'm going to live like I'm going to live forever. And I'm going to postpone a lot of things that I'm supposed to be doing today. So I want to always remind myself that death's around the corner and I have to make sure that I live my life at least until that point. Yeah. Right. So I think that's that from me. Let's stop sharing. I hope you found it worth your 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Are there any questions or any observations that anyone wants to make?
It was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Narmada. I will just briefly close up. That was very insightful, very practical, great takeaways I think for everyone. And what we want in these workshops is learning opportunities. I think you've given us that in abundance. So thank you very much for that.
My pleasure.
These workshops are proving to be a great success, and we've got one more coming up in October, on October the 13th, with Jeremy Lazarus about time management. Thank you all for joining us, for taking the time to join us today. Thank you again, Narmada, for giving us such a wonderful presentation and things to work with. And we look forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you very much for joining us, and good afternoon.
Aaron and Cash for organizing this. It's been such a pleasure meeting all of you today, and thank you for joining. You've been really, really great. I felt very confident just looking at all of you. So thank you so very much for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you so
very
much.
much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you.